My twin sister bailed on her wedding, and my parents, terrified of pissing off the whites, forced me to take her place. Eric had just turned off the lights. Terrified, I couldn't hold it in anymore and confessed, "Eric, I'm not actually my sister." The man's breathing grew heavier. He leaned down and kissed me, saying, "I know. Your sister ran off with my younger brother. So, Coco, you're going to have to make it up to me yourself." When I was 10, my brother pushed me into the water, and I came down with a high fever. My family didn't take it seriously, they even thought I was being dramatic. By the time they finally took me to the hospital, I was left with a lifelong side effect. My reactions are a little slower than normal. They thought I was an embarrassment, so they made me live alone in the small cottage behind the main villa and forbade me from coming to the front. But my twin sister, Jasmine, ran away from her wedding. My mom was furious. She stormed into the cottage, smashed all my paintings, and slapped me. In that instant, my ears were ringing. I covered my face, looked down, wanted to cry but didn't dare, just stared at my toes. All you do is cry. Useless girl, bad luck. My life is so hard, having 2 daughters, one a fool, the other runs off from her wedding. She wasn't done venting and kept digging her long nails into me. I didn't understand why my sister would suddenly run away. But I didn't dare ask, just stood there and let her unleash her hysteria. Years of experience taught me that fighting back would only make it worse. After she'd vented enough, she suddenly noticed the paintings scattered on the floor. She picked one up, it was a drawing of a man's back. I mustered the courage to say, "Mom, that's..." She slapped me again. "Aha! I knew it. So that's why your sister ran off. Did you seduce your brother-in-law?" I froze for a moment, then shook my head. "No, that's not." "What do you mean, no? If not, why would your sister run? Do you have any idea who the whites are? If they find out the bride ran away, do you think they'll spare our family, the Booths?" She seemed to have figured something out. Her eyes filled with resentment as she grabbed my arm again. "Our family fed and clothed you, you fool, and this is how you repay us? Trying to ruin the Booths, are you?" The angrier she got, the more she twisted my ear, pulling me close and screeching, "Since this is all your fault, tomorrow you'll take your sister's place and marry him." My ear throbbed with pain, tears streaming down my face. She impatiently slapped my face. "Did you hear me? You better do this right. If you drag the Booths down, you'll see what I do to you." With that, she gave me a disgusted shove and left. "Mom, if that fool marries in Jasmine's place, what about Johnny? Weren't we going to send her to that old man for a big chunk of money? I was counting on that cash for a new car. Jake, isn't that fool easier to control than Jasmine? Once she's married into the whites, forget a car, you can have anything you want." I squatted down, wiping my tears and tidying up. Their voices faded. Leaving only, getting rid of one useless girl, what a loss. The young master Eric didn't want a big wedding, he just had the Booths send me directly to his villa. But our family didn't care about this blatant humiliation. They were afraid I'd be exposed if there was a real wedding. They threatened me harshly in the car on the way over, then just dumped me at Eric's villa gate. A maid led me to Eric's bedroom and explained, "Sir has company business. Madam can wait for him in the room." I thanked her quietly. And I really did stay in his room from daylight until dusk. It was pitch black outside. Even though my stomach was growling with hunger, I didn't dare leave. But Eric didn't come back. I found a corner, curled up, buried my face in my knees, and gently patted my own back. "It's okay, Coco. If you fall asleep, you won't be hungry." The self-soothing seemed to work. I not only fell asleep but also dreamed. I dreamed of the first time I saw Eric. Usually, I stayed in the cottage. But that particular day, my brother, Jake, made Mom angry, and she made me kneel in the sun to reflect on my mistakes. I didn't even know what I was supposed to be reflecting on, so I just knelt there, dazed. "Coco, Did you do something wrong again? My sister, Jasmine, walked by, arm in arm with a man. I just looked up for a second. He was very handsome. Not just handsome, but a good person. He said, no matter how strict the upbringing or how serious the mistake, no one should be left to bake in the sun. My mother put on a smile and, for once, didn't make me kneel until I fainted. She let me go back to the cottage to reflect. I was so happy. As I passed him, I gathered my courage and said, thank you. After I'd run some distance, I looked back. The man stood in the sunlight, as if bathed in a golden glow. Even his back, seen from afar, was striking. Afterwards, he frequently visited our house with my sister. During that time, my life became much easier. Even when Mom was upset, she didn't dare be too harsh, afraid that the young Master Eric would see and ruin the hard-won marriage alliance. Click. The room door seemed to open from the outside. I woke with a start and immediately stood up straight like a schoolgirl, but I'd gotten up too fast and hadn't eaten. Everything suddenly went black. I fell into a warm embrace. Why didn't you eat? Eric's voice came from above me. I whispered, waiting. For you. Sorry, something urgent came up at the company. I'm late. Eric helped me to the sofa by the bed, then went out again. And I just sat on the sofa, looking out of the room. Until he returned, carrying a container of hot soup. Looking at the soup he opened. I was really hungry. But I glanced at Eric cautiously. Can I eat it? He didn't answer, just sighed, picked up the bowl, and spooned some directly to my lips. I looked at him while tentatively taking the spoon into my mouth. Seeing Eric didn't seem to react, he just spooned another mouthful for me. With him feeding me, I soon forgot all my nervousness and focused on finishing the soup in his hands. After finishing the soup, my stomach felt warm. I started to feel better. I'm going to take a shower first. Eric ruffled my hair and went into the bathroom. Watching his back, I suddenly felt nervous again. He wasn't angry. Had he not realized I wasn't my sister? The thought of my mom's warning in the car echoed in my ears, her sharp, vicious voice saying, if you get caught, you don't need to come back home, we'll send you straight to Johnny's house. That Johnny, I'd seen him. When I was painting, he suddenly appeared at the cottage, insisting he was my father's brother. He kept trying to touch me. I didn't want to go to his house. My fingers crumpled the hem of my dress as the sound of the shower gradually stopped. The man emerged, covered in steam, his hair still dripping. I quickly stood up, mustered my courage, and walked over to him. Can I help you dry your hair? No need. My clumsy attempt to please him failed. I pulled my hands back, standing there helplessly. Go take a shower. Oh, okay. I obediently did as he said. After my shower, I found Eric already in bed, leaning against the headboard, looking at his phone. When I came out, his gaze shifted from his phone to me. He beckoned. Come here. I hurried over to him and stood properly. Eric smiled. Why are you just standing there? My eyes darted around. I didn't know what to do. I felt a bit panicked and lost. Eric pulled me onto the bed. My bathrobe was already loose, and now it was even more so. Today, strictly speaking, is our wedding night. He was above me, propped on an elbow, looking at me with interest. I didn't dare meet his gaze, so I just closed my eyes and mumbled in response. You're different today than usual. I flinched, terrified he'd see through me. I quickly opened my eyes and asked, with no confidence, How am I different? Eric leaned close to my ear, his warm breath tickling me. Usually, you're very forward. My heart nearly leaped out of my throat, especially meeting his sharp eyes. How forward? Eric smiled and whispered, for example, you'd wrap your arms around my neck and call me Eric in a sweet voice. After he spoke, his eyes seemed to say, go on, try it. I took a deep breath. My hands were shaking uncontrollably, but I had to lift them and do as he said. Don't let him find out I'm not my sister. That was my only thought. Eric. He patted my head. Good girl. One arm held me, the other reached out and turned off the bedside lamp. Suddenly, all I could see was darkness. I could feel his hands exploring. Somehow, I thought of Johnny, who had suddenly barged into my cottage. A wave of nausea washed over me. No. I pushed him away hard. Panic made me turn and try to run. Eric gave me no chance, grabbing my hand and dragging me back, his voice hoarse. Think you can escape? Those words were like a switch. I immediately broke down, crying and shouting, brother-in-law, I'm not actually my sister. Please let me go, okay? The man's voice came after a moment. Too late. Those 2 words felt like a death sentence. I didn't even dare to cry anymore. But despite his words, he didn't make another move, just held me in his arms. My cold body, close to his warmth, felt the chill in my heart dissipate. Eric spoke, your sister ran off with my younger brother. Huh? His words made my unfocused gaze sharpen for a moment. If this scandal gets out, the S Corporation will be in danger. I'm sorry, Coco. I don't want to make things difficult for you either. In the darkness. I couldn't see Eric's expression, but I could hear the deep helplessness in his voice. But in the dark, his hand accurately found my face and caressed it. Let me take you home. He was about to get up when I grabbed his bathrobe. I sobbed, begging, no. Don't send me back. They said if I was sent back, they'd send me to Johnny. After I said it, I wondered why Eric should help me, and tears of grievance streamed down my face. Sorry. I wiped away the gushing tears and sniffled. You should just send me back. Eric turned on the bedside lamp. Coco. I looked up at Eric, my eyes blurry with tears. His expression was very serious. I need a wife right now to cover up the fact that the bride ran away. He continued. Are you willing to help me? At least until I find your sister. You can live here like before, and I won't force you to do anything you don't want to. However, we'll have to sleep together. It wouldn't look good if a newlywed couple slept in separate rooms. I bit my lip, thought it over with my not-so-sharp brain, and finally nodded gently. Oh, okay. As long as I didn't have to go back to that place where I lived in constant fear. Then. Good night. Eric smiled and ruffled my hair. I'm not married to your sister. My little hands fidgeted, and I whispered, sorry. My brain's a bit slow, I don't quite get it. It's just that when he used to come to our house, Mom told me to be sweet and call him that ahead of time, saying Eric wouldn't bother arguing with a fool. Eric reached out, hugged me, and patiently taught me, from now on, you call me husband. Oh, okay. I nodded like a chick pecking at grain. Let me hear you say it. I habitually lowered my head and made a sound softer than a mosquito. Honey. I don't know if it was because I finally let go of my long-held tension, or if the emotional roller coaster of the night was too much. My dreams became fragmented and terrifying. I dreamed I was painting in the cottage as usual when a portly figure attacked me from behind. Johnny's face appeared before me. I screamed and tried to run. He grinned gleefully. I'm your dad's friend. Just call me Uncle Johnny. He grabbed my hand. I tried hard to shake him off, but I couldn't. Don't be such a stranger. I used to hold you when you were little. Come here, let Uncle take care of you. I grabbed a utility knife and slashed at his hand. My sister had told me. Don't let men touch you casually, especially if it makes you uncomfortable. Be brave and protect yourself. But Johnny's face suddenly became hideous and terrifying. He snatched the utility knife and slapped me. I lost my balance, and my forehead slammed into the easel. You ungrateful brat. Your family is still begging me for investment. It's your damn luck that I even noticed you, you little bitch. I fell to the ground, my head throbbing, too weak to even get up. Johnny cursed as he walked towards me. Just as he bent down to drag me away, someone punched him. I desperately wanted to see who it was. But I couldn't make it out. I only heard Johnny's trembling voice, "Eric? What are you doing here? You're also interested in this little bit. Did Johnny get beaten up badly?" I didn't know. Because I seemed to wake up in a daze. "We gave her a shot for the fever, but she's too weak, so it's working slowly. I suggest you rub her down with strong alcohol to help her sweat." I opened my hazy eyes and saw Eric talking to someone. "Honey." My throat felt incredibly hoarse. "Coco." The man returned to my side, his voice anxious as he asked if I was uncomfortable. In all these years, besides my sister, he was the first person to care about me. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. I whimpered and snuggled closer to him, half sobbing, half coaxing, "It hurts." Eric gently patted my back. There. It'll stop hurting soon." He untied my bathrobe and started rubbing me down with the alcohol. I thought I heard him ask, "Coco, those bruises. Who hit you?" His voice was incredibly cold, so cold it made me shiver. As if it could kill someone directly. It was too fierce, I was too scared to speak. I used to hate getting sick. It was awful, and I had to boil water and cook for myself. My sister would stay with me, but she couldn't always be there. This time was different. Besides staying in bed, Eric took care of everything for me. He was incredibly attentive. When I could finally get out of bed, Eric held my hand and showed me around as we walked. "This is my study. If you need anything, Coco, come find me here." He pointed to 2 adjacent rooms at the opposite end of the hall from the master bedroom. "And this one is your art studio, Coco." Eric smiled and opened the door. My easel, sketchbooks, art supplies from the cottage, everything was inside. "I had someone move them when you were still sick. If there's anything else you want, I'll go back with you to get it when you're better." I went in and headed straight for the easel. I found my familiar sketchbook and flipped through it. Realizing Eric was still there, I guiltily closed the sketchbook and hugged it to my chest. Like a thief, I snuck a couple of glances at him out of the corner of my eye. Eric turned over the unfinished drawing on the easel. It was his back. Sorry. Though he looked perfectly calm. "Coco, you draw beautifully." I bit my lip. At first, I didn't know it was you. I just drew the man who saved me at the cottage that day from memory. There was something else Eric probably didn't know. Since then, I'd often drawn that back. Later, I found out. The person who saved me was my future brother-in-law. And that day, he had simply gotten lost. Maybe I should throw it away. I bit my lip, feeling ashamed, as if some sordid little secret of mine had been exposed. "It's drawn very well. Why throw it away?" I looked at him and blinked. Eric smiled. "I like it very much. But, Coco, you've drawn so many backs. Would you be interested in considering drawing a front view?" He looked at me, his smile gentle. "I can be your model, Coco." "Oh, okay. Then tonight? After dinner, we'll have plenty of time." After dinner. Eric said he'd looked through a lot of clothes but couldn't find anything good, concluding that wearing nothing looked best. My face felt a little hot, but I had to admit, he did look good. A lean waist, strong, powerful muscles, like smooth lines, he definitely had the assets. He, however, was perfectly composed, just sitting there. He even struck up a conversation. "Coco, have you drawn for anyone else before?" I shook my head. "No, I'm not very good. Only I get to say if it's good or not. Let's begin." I didn't reply, completely focused on my brush. When I finally put down my brush, I had no idea how much time had passed. My arms and shoulders were a bit sore. "Oh, okay, it's done." My face was hot, I didn't dare look at him. Eric picked up a towel from the side, wrapped it around his waist, and then walked towards me. Coco, you draw so well. I'll treasure this. It was the first time I'd heard someone praise me. The joy in my heart practically overflowed from my eyes. Thank you. Eric ruffled my hair. As a reward, I want to give Coco a gift. He told me to wait a moment. He left with the drawing. Then, he came back holding a small puppy. Its eyes were dark and bright, its nose constantly sniffing, and it whimpered softly. Eric held it up to me. Want to pet him? I was a little scared but also curious. I reached out and petted its head. It was so soft, and it even nudged my hand with its head. For me? Eric nodded. When I'm not home, he can keep you company. I took it from him, looked at it for a long time with a wide grin, and thanked Eric. Thank you. As long as Coco's happy. It was time for Eric to go to work. A lot had piled up at the company. He was indeed very busy. When I was still recovering, even though he stayed by my side, he was always on his laptop. Or on the phone. Coco, if you need anything at home, just call the maids. I'll be back after work tonight. Cradling the puppy, I nodded at him. Eric sighed, ruffled my hair again, and pulled me into an embrace. What's wrong? I don't want to leave Coco. I want to take Coco to work with me. I blushed and quietly told him to stop teasing. Then, can Coco give me a goodbye kiss? Eric whispered in my ear. Men who have wives always get a kiss from them before they leave. Really? When I saw Eric nod, I stood on my tiptoes and quickly pecked him on the lips. Before I could pull away, Eric held my waist and deepened the kiss. I'm off to work. After Eric left, I took the puppy to the sofa and got out a small comb to brush its fur. The little guy really enjoyed it and cooperatively lay down. He even let me rub his paws and ears. Suddenly, I felt. The weather was beautiful, and the sunshine was bright. But then the villa's doorbell suddenly rang. A maid went to open it. Suddenly, there was a commotion. The puppy immediately stood up, a warning growl rumbling in its throat. Why are you stopping me? I want to see that bitch Coco. I heard Jake's voice. Sir, you can't go in. The maid tried to stop him but was pushed to the ground and even kicked. The moment I came out, my eyes met Jake's. He sneered. Coco, you think just because you climbed into Eric's bed and have him protecting you, you're hot stuff, huh? You even got Eric to stick up for you, running to our house while I was gone to warn Mom and Dad. We raised you for nothing all these years. You ungrateful, treacherous wolf. He walked up to me and kicked me hard. The puppy, without hesitation, lunged at him and bit him, only to be kicked away. Sweetie. I was anxious to check on the puppy, but Jake grabbed me. Useless girl, give me $5 million, now. His grip on my arm was painful. I tried to break free but couldn't. I don't have any money. No money? Then give me your card. You think Eric just sleeps with women and doesn't give them money? He must have given you a card. Saying that, he was about to go inside and search himself. What are you doing? Why should his money and card be given to you? Who do you think you are? I shouted, but only received Jake's ridicule. Why? If you don't give me money, I'll tell everyone that Eric's wife ran off, and he shamelessly slept with his sister-in-law. And you, since you have no money, you'll come with me to Johnny's house. Johnny has money. I was shaking with anger. How can you be so shameless? You stupid fool, who are you calling shameless? You think you're really Eric's wife now? Jake pulled my hair, and in an extremely humiliating way, slapped my face. If that useless Jasmine hadn't run off, it wouldn't even be your turn, you. Ah. Just as I was about to fight back, Jake got punched hard by Eric. I stood there disheveled, looking at Eric. Suddenly, I remembered what my sister had once cried to me. Coco, for families like ours, it's impossible to find true love. Those richer and more powerful than us look down on families like ours, and those less well off than us wouldn't dare offend us. Our lives are probably destined to be sold off like commodities by our parents. But I'm not resigned to it. How can I be? I didn't understand then. Now, I think I do. Mean, scheming parents, a brother like Jake who only knows how to ask for money and does nothing else. They really only drag others down. My sister didn't want to foot the bill for Jake's life anymore. Eric looked at me with heartache. Does it hurt? I shook my head at him. I'm fine. Sorry for dragging you into this. Don't be silly. The puppy also ran to my side, barking fiercely at them. I picked up the puppy and hid behind Eric. Eric? Jake, after being punched by Eric, didn't dare make a peep. Eric, don't misunderstand, I was just... Jake. Just then, my mother also rushed over, standing in front of Jake. Eric, Jake is still a child. He doesn't know any better. If he did anything wrong, I apologize to you on his behalf. Doesn't know any better? When he was demanding $5 million from my wife just now, he didn't look like he didn't know any better at all. My mom was stunned. $5 million. Jake, what did you do to need $5 million? Jake pulled his mom's arm. I got into a bit of trouble. I didn't want to worry you, so I thought siblings should help each other out, but then... He pointed at me, his face full of anger. Not only did she not help me, she insulted me. She even sicked her dog on me. This ungrateful wolf, now that she's latched onto my brother-in-law, she doesn't care if her family lives or dies. My mom looked embarrassed but didn't stop her son. Only after Jake finished his angry outburst did she speak. This is where you, as the older sister, are wrong. She wanted to scold me like before, but with Eric present, she could only turn to him with a fawning expression. Eric, dear, we're all family. Jake must really need this money to be troubling his sister. Could you see if maybe... Listening to her words, I found them incredibly ironic. Before, if my sister and I spent even a little of her money, she'd cry out in distress that we were useless money pits, only knew how to spend, and didn't understand their sacrifices at all. She would even hit us. But Jake asks for $5 million, and suddenly it's we're all family. $5 million is no small sum. Let's call the police. Eric coldly refused. No, don't call the police. Mom. If you call the police, I'm ruined. I won't be able to find a wife. Who will carry on our family line then? We're all family. Can't we talk things over? Why do we have to involve the police? My mom smiled apologetically at Eric while frantically signaling me with her eyes to plead for Jake. However, I lowered my head, pursed my lips, and avoided her gaze, completely ignoring her. Jake was a spoiled brat to begin with. This was probably the limit of his patience. He started cursing at Eric. Your family is so rich and powerful, and you can't even cough up a mere $5 million? If you can't, then hurry up and let that useless girl come home with us. Johnny is more generous than you. He thought he was the boss, but he'd barely gotten a few curses out when a dozen burly men in black suddenly swarmed in through the door and surrounded him. Without a word. They started beating him. Jake was beaten until he was crying for his parents. Jake! You damn girl, hurry up and tell them to stop. Do you want to watch your brother get beaten to death? My mom was the same as always, taking her anger out on me. Two of the bodyguards beating Jake instantly broke off and stood directly in front of her. She shrank back in fear and cowered. We're all family. Jake, I'll give you one chance. Tell us what you did. Eric had the bodyguards pause and spoke. I hid behind Eric, appearing scared, but in reality, the corners of my mouth were curled up in a smile that didn't falter. What is there? I'm the only son of our family. Coco, aren't you afraid that if I'm beaten to death, you won't have a brother to back you up in the future? Jake yelled, craning his neck. Trying to guilt me? Sorry. I'm a fool, I don't understand. Not only did I not understand, but I also timidly tugged Eric's sleeve with one hand. Husband, I'm scared. Keep hitting him. Jake wailed again. I'll talk. I'll talk. Johnny gave me $2 million to get that useless Coco to his house. Who knew Jasmine would suddenly run from the wedding? Those two old fools were scared to death and tricked that idiot into taking her place. I was thinking, if that fool was rejected, she'd be sent straight to Johnny. If not, I could at least get some money from the whites. But I didn't see a dime. Jake gambled away the $2 million Johnny gave him and now owed another $2 million. Johnny threatened him to pay it back. So he thought, if he could find Jasmine and send her instead, that would work. He wanted to pay someone to find her. But he ended up getting scammed out of over $1 million. After Jake tearfully confessed, the fear really set in. Brother-in-law. No matter which of my sisters married you, you're still my brother-in-law. You have to save me. Johnny said I have to pay him back, and those other guys said if I can't pay, they'll cut off my hands. I'm the only son of our family. If something happens to me, our family line will end. Mom, quick, talk to Eric. My mom hadn't expected her precious Jake to get into such big trouble. She was panicking now too. She immediately knelt before Eric. Eric, dear, Jasmine running away from the wedding, it's all her fault. But look, you and Coco are doing well now, aren't you? Can you help Jake? Yes. When I heard Eric say that, I saw my mom breathe a sigh of relief and immediately put on a happy expression, rushing to grab his hand. Eric calmed me down. This Johnny, he partied hard in his younger years. His body's long been wrecked. He looked at the two of them and smiled faintly. He only enjoys torturing others. They aren't good for much, but they're all good looking. The money, Jake took it. Let him go himself. I'll have a good talk with Johnny for him. The joy on their faces immediately froze. The bodyguards grabbed Jake and started dragging him out. No. I'm a man. I'm the only male heir in our family. Mom. Save me. Jake. My mom quickly stood up, wanting to chase after him but also wanting to argue with Eric. Coco, you still have your charms. Perhaps you could cover $1 million? Send her over too. Have a good talk with Johnny, he won't mind. No. I'm your mother-in-law. You damn girl, say something. The mother and son's roars gradually faded. I kept my head down, smiling so hard my face was about to cramp, but I didn't dare let Eric see. I quickly suppressed my gloating. I resumed my timid appearance, but then, as if mustering courage to offer Eric advice, I whispered. Honey, if you do this, won't my father be angry? How about? I tiptoed and whispered in his ear, we send my father over too. The whole family has to stick together. Eric smiled and pinched my cheek. Whatever my wife says. The next day, a news alert popped up online. Following a citizen's tip, an illegal party was raided at a private residence. Suspects caught red-handed. Suspects are 3 of the booths and the CEO of W Corporation. Perhaps it was a case of when a wall is pushed, everyone falls. Both companies' stocks plummeted, and they soon declared bankruptcy. By the time they were bailed out, there was no chance for a comeback. This incident caused a huge stir online. So, my sister and Eric's younger brother, Evan, ran back. I was still painting in the art studio when my sister appeared at the door and called my name. She rushed over, hugged me, and started crying. Apologizing over and over. Only if I ran away from the wedding would they push you, my identical twin, to take my place. Only then could my Coco escape that hell. I turned my back to her sulkily and ignored her. My sister whispered to me, because I know, Coco, you also did a lot so that I could escape that hell. Her words successfully made me turn around and look at her. My sister smiled. I knew it. My Coco isn't foolish at all. She's very smart. Smart enough that even as a child, she was already preparing a way out for me. But back then, I was always jealous of Coco, even coldly watching Jake push you into the water. I lowered my eyes. I knew this had been a knot in my sister's heart for years. Because she had always been timid and weak, and unwilling to change her situation. The only time she was brave was when I had that high fever, and she carried me to the hospital. I let go of the deliberate timidity in my eyes, no longer pretending, and said with a smile, "It's not your fault, sis. In a place like that, just being able to protect yourself is already pretty good." In the art studio, we talked a lot. I only then learned. The first time Eric saw my sister, he recognized she wasn't the little girl who had saved him as a child. And, my sister's boyfriend, was her desk mate, Evan. Eric wanted to see me, so he used the pretense of being my sister's boyfriend to visit our house. After seeing my sister off, I got up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was bright, almost dazzling. I pressed my hand against the hot glass of the floor-to-ceiling window, feeling the burning temperature. My thoughts drifted back to the past. Since I was little, I knew. Families like ours, treated like leeches to be fed. The powerful looked down on us, the powerless couldn't protect us. But I was lucky. By accident, I saved the white's most esteemed heir, Eric. "Don't tell anyone I saved you," I had told him back then. "My parents are greedy and insatiable. When you grow up, I hope you can save me from this misery." I gave him a self-portrait. "This is what I look like now, and this is how I'll look when I grow up," I'd said. "My name is Jasmine. I'll be waiting for you to repay me." Later, I heard my sister say she was dating someone. I thought, what good luck. That little boy really is a good person who repays his debts. I had secretly drawn what he might look like grown up. Very handsome. A good match for my sister. So, I planned to wait until they were married, then get rid of all those bastards. I would never let them ruin my sister's happiness, treat my sister like a bank, and drag her down for her whole life. Someone had to escape hell, right? Coco. Hearing Eric's voice, I snapped back to reality, turned to look at the man who had walked up beside me, and asked softly, as usual, what is it? After being locked up for a few months. That family of three, my parents and Jake, found out my sister was back, and her elopement partner was another young master of the whites. They went to the S Corporation's entrance to cause trouble. Eric temporarily housed them in a villa. When I arrived, they were still cursing me and my sister with the vilest words. "Ungrateful wolf, you dare to show your face." Jake saw me first. Anger twisted his features as he limped towards me. However, I grabbed his hand, twisted it back, and kicked him hard between the legs. Jake writhed on the ground like a maggot in pain. You damn girl, what are you doing?" My mom shrieked and rushed forward. I let go of Jake, grabbed her hair, and slammed her head against the nearby door. Then, I pulled out the utility knife hidden in my pocket. I looked down at the utility knife and plunged it directly into Jake's calf. My mom screamed, wanting to faint but couldn't, seemingly scared stiff. I hadn't even done anything to my dad yet, but he was so scared he collapsed onto the ground. He met my furious and venomous gaze. Jake tried to curse me again, so I stabbed him again, repeatedly. I've wanted to do this for a long time. A smile spread across my face. I felt incredibly exhilarated. When you used to hit me, I thought countless times about finishing you off. But I couldn't. Because my timid, weak sister still held on to some sliver of illusion about you trash. Thanks to you letting Johnny into my cottage, and her seeing it, otherwise she might not have had the heart to break with you completely. I stood up. "Don't let me see the three of you ever again, otherwise I'll find you a place with lifelong room and board. For example, a slave ship, endlessly drifting at sea." I stepped out of the villa's main gate. I didn't hear a single curse from behind me. I was originally alone. But when I came out, I saw Eric. He walked up and took a handkerchief from his pocket to wipe my hands. I pulled my hand back. "You saw everything." He took my hand again and slowly, deliberately wiped it. "Then you should know, all that before was an act. I'm not some timid, weak little bunny. Including that first day, when I deliberately called you brother-in-law, trying to make you angry and deal with my family. Eric pulled me directly into his arms, his chin resting on my forehead as he whispered, I know everything. I also know that Coco has had a very hard time all these years. It hasn't been easy. Listening to his words, a wave of bitterness and sorrow washed over me. It seemed like every time I faced Eric, I became particularly vulnerable. Eric kissed my forehead and whispered, from now on, Coco doesn't need to pretend anymore. Live however you want to live. I'll be with you. I reached out and hugged him back, tears soaking the front of his shirt. Okay. The two sons of the Whites decided to have a joint wedding. The older son was marrying the younger sister. The younger son was marrying the older sister. What could their parents do? Of course, they agreed. At the wedding, Eric's mom gave her older daughter-in-law the heirloom bracelet from her left wrist, and her younger daughter-in-law the heirloom bracelet from her right wrist. Holding the microphone, she said with a serious and solemn expression, now that you're married. We can argue and fuss all we want, but please, don't let both daughters-in-law run off together. And of course, don't badmouth me behind my back. I'm sensitive, I can't take it. Eric's dad sighed helplessly and pulled her back. Your mother-in-law doesn't have many hobbies. She just loves reading trashy romance novels and really likes to imagine herself in them. Everyone present laughed.